Hi, I am your big sister Shell or Michelle. Welcome back to Channeling Shell. I want to guide you on the red flags and green flags to look for when you're dating. And we can use Love Island UK season 11 as a little bit of a inspiration for me making this, especially when it comes to the red flags. Now, I am a newlywed. I got married very recently and I'm with someone very safe and very loving, and we have a really good foundation of a relationship together. And I'm 29, and I spent a lot of my years dating and learning and figuring out what to look for and what not to look for when it comes to men. So diving into this video, I want to start off with some things that I personally would not put up with, or that it would give me kind of like a side eye when I'm dating someone. So one of the things that I noticed, these are all just things I've noticed off of Love Island, but if you are asking someone a question, I'm referring to Ronnie, if they ask you the question back before answering, that gives me a little bit of a red flag. And the reason is because it's likely they're trying to gauge your answer and formulate their answer based on your answer. So I would be cautious with someone who does this frequently. If they do it every once in a while, maybe they're just nervous, but if you're asking them their opinion on something and they turn it right back on you, be a little bit cautious with that particular trait. The next thing to look for is defensiveness. Now, I saw Ayo do this with Uma and Mimi, and he was kind of feeling on the defense when he had to keep reporting back to each girl and they would get upset, and I would notice he would start to be a little bit on the defense and be upset because he had to keep the peace, essentially. And it's a red flag for me if someone's quite defensive, because it tells me they haven't worked through their trauma. The level of defensiveness is something for you to keep in mind. Like if someone is always defensive and they're quite aggressively defensive, that's a red flag and you shouldn't continue dating them. If it's every once in a while and you do feel like there's a potential, you may want to bring this to their attention at some point, especially if you guys get serious, so that you can be like, hey, I'm noticing you tend to shut down when we talk about this. Can we figure out why that is? And a lot of times it comes from trauma or the past or whatever, not being able to properly deal with something and often feeling insecure in some way. If the person you're dating isn't showing you interest in the way you feel like they should, now we're referring to Joey and Samantha. Joey was not really showing Samantha physical affection for 2 weeks, and she noticed, and her intuition was pretty correct, because once Grace came in, Joey was gung-ho, he was super physically affectionate with her, and there was an instant connection. And so if you're having an intuitive feeling like, I don't know if this person is interested, they're saying they are, but their actions are not showing it, go with your intuition. Your intuition is almost always right. If someone you're dating is not being transparent, going back to Ronnie, about the way that they're feeling, it's a red flag and you should remove yourself from the situation. If I were Jess or Harriet in that situation where he can't decide between, and even Tiffany, between all of these girls, he is not being respectful. You can tell because he makes a lot of comments to his guy friends about not wanting to make a decision, just really chill about it, and it's very disrespectful because it's not taking in the opinions of others. And if you're with someone who is not being clear in their intentions, and that's something you need to let that go and look somewhere else, because that's not going to be a healthy situation for you to be in. If you are unsure and they're unsure and you're kind of in this unsure thing together, still not great, but at least you're not putting, if you are someone who's very sure about what steps you want to take in a relationship, you need to be clear that you need someone who's also like that as well. If someone makes micro remarks that are belittling you or making you feel not worthy, that is a super red flag. And it can be very minimal And the frequency of it is important, and knowing the person well enough to know if they're genuinely just teasing or if there's something behind it. I notice with Ronnie, he tries to degrade the girls a little bit, and it's through a teasing way. But because I've been with a narcissist, I can kind of tell there's some narcissistic tendencies with that, where he wants to feel like he's on top. So it's almost as if he's belittling them so that he can stay in a position of power and make sure that they like him. And I noticed that he does that with Jess, Harriet, and Tiffany. And a lot of it will look like, oh, haha, like the girl will be like, oh, do you like me? And he's like, I guess, like, I don't know. There's not the clarity that these women deserve. And even in small interactions where Jess is like, oh, like he said something about her kiss and kind of rated it a little bit lower. These are micro interactions, but they add up to something not right. There's a lot of interactions with Ronnie in Love Island where things are just not quite adding up. And so with all of those, super red flag. I would never, ever, ever let you date Ronnie. Would never let you date Joey. The only poor guy in here that's a worthy person is Sean. He's so sweet. However, I will say with Sean, there's a lot of insecurity there, not a whole lot of confidence. So still probably would be a pretty good partner, but just there's some work that needs to be done over there as well. Anyway, with all that being said, if you enjoy these dating tips and relating it to Love Island, please let me know in the comments down below. If you want me to analyze any of the characters or the people off of Love Island, you let me know as well, and I can create a short or make another video, or I could do a part 2. So I'll see you guys in my next video.